So I'm going to be doing this video a little differently than usual because usually I'm kind of doing a review video. This is more of a list video. So you're going to see a little less of my face today, hear a little more of my voice. I'm going to try to show you, some images and shots of the headphones that I'm going to be talking about. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get units for every single headphone or IEM on this list. So I'm missing just a few, but two of them I actually already have video reviews up for, so might just be stealing some of those shots. And one of them I don't have a review up for and wasn't able to get my hands on, but it is still very worthy to be on this list. And it actually happens to be the least expensive one, so I'll be going over that one last. So I'm going to be going in descending price order. Most expensive are going to be first, and then least expensive are going to be last. But I am going to start with my favorite on this list, and I would even say more than on this list. This is one of my headphones, if not my favorite headphone of all time, and that is the Dan Clark Expanse. Dan Clark Audio's Expanse was released towards the end of this year as the planar open-back flagship counterpart to the closed-back Dan Clark Audio Stealth. The Expanse appears utterly alien, with enormous cans that span from behind the ear to the middle of a listener's jaw. Despite what you might think when you hear that, it nonetheless manages to be one of the most comfortable headphones released this year, thanks in large part to its self-adjusting suspension headband that is as flexible as it is meticulously fine-tuned. When it comes to technical design, the list is almost endless. Firstly, there's the 76mm by 51mm single-ended planar magnetic driver, which is the largest driver in any Dan Clark release to date. Then there's the proprietary and patent-pending acoustic metamaterial tuning system, which involves a device situated between the transducer and listener's ear that kills unwanted resonance by deploying waveguides, diffusion control, quarter wave, and Helmholtz resonators. Then there's its use of the finite element analysis and computational fluid dynamics, which employs aerodynamics to stop unwanted air turbulence. By the way, this same technology gets used in jet engines, to put that in perspective. Now, as far as sound goes, the imaging and staging is really that sort of cloud of sound experience. It's ethereally wide and deep, but really what sticks out to me is just how strikingly tall it is. And it sends ride cymbals, harmonic guitar overtones, reverbs, just flying above a listener's head. Its tone is very well balanced, but also has its own sort of colorful character with very airy highs and very crisp mids. Dan Clark Audio's Expanse easily makes it onto this list for its innovative technical, physical design, superb comfort, and nearly unmatched sound quality, in my opinion. All right, next we have the most expensive headphone on this list, the Focal Utopia 2022. The original Utopia was released as Focal's flagship headphone back in 2016. It's seen a few upgrades since then, culminating in the Utopia 2022 edition. Besides getting a new makeover, the enormous formless voice coil in the 40mm beryllium dynamic driver saw an upgrade that made it even more lightweight and responsive. Another impressive technical feature is the lightweight and absorptive beryllium M-shaped dome that mimics the planar waveforms produced by loudspeakers. When it comes to balance, I find it virtually impossible to poke a hole in what the Utopia has to offer. Reaches really deep into both the highs and the lows, recreates tracks in vivid, near-perfect fidelity. The only real criticisms that I've seen around the headphone is its price tag, which is fair enough. But you would be hard-pressed to find someone who can convincingly refute its sound quality and the comfort that it has to offer. Next on this list is a unit that I wasn't able to get, but you can't blame me too much. There are only 500 units of it that exist, which is the Fourte Blanc, and it's the third and final iteration of 64 Audio's TIA line of IEMs. The Fourte Blanc follows 64 Audio's TIA design principle of tubeless drivers, with sound being combined in special acoustic chambers and a single board design before reaching a listener's ear. This eliminates issues with resonance that acoustic tubes can incur. The idea is simple: let the sound from the drivers reach a listener's ear with as few obstacles in the way as possible. The Fourte Blanc packs a full and forceful tone with a driving bass response and extended high end that provides a well-balanced but impactful listening experience. Its soundstage and imaging are equally as impressive, sending pans flying behind shoulders and over the top of a listener's head. Its lightweight physical design and rounded shape contribute to a very comfortable and easy fit. Long story short, it's the pinnacle of the type of innovation audiophiles have grown to expect from 64 Audio, and was definitely one of the most elite in-ear monitors to have been released this year. Next, we have the MM-500 from Audeze. If the $4,500 price tag on the LCD5 scared you off, the MM-500 can get you pretty close to it for a fraction of the price. This planar open back features a neodymium N50 magnet and a fluxor magnetic array to deliver an extremely clean and balanced sound signature. One could say it's the Beyerdynamic DT1990 on steroids, and with planar magnets. These were designed to be used as mixing and reference headphones for their highly accurate representation of sounds, but lack the cold and sterile tone present in many other headphones that serve this use case. Instead, the Audeze MM-500 has a dense and inspiring mid and high bass warmth that avoids clouding and masking the rest of the sound signature. It also wins points for its secure, durable, and comfortable build, even if they're a bit heavy at 495 grams. If you're looking for a headphone that's as useful for mixing and referencing as it is for just casual enjoyment, the Audeze MM-500 may well be the best candidate to have come out in 2022. Another unit on this list that I couldn't get but I have a recent video review up for is the T+A Solitaire T. So it was a competitive year for premium wireless releases, the Focal Bathys, the Mark Levinson number 5909, the PX8, list goes on. Out of all of them though, I'm giving top dog status to the T+A Solitaire T. Firstly, it boasts a 70-hour playback life, putting it way ahead of most of its competition in this department. To be fair, that battery life is 35 hours when high-quality mode is engaged, which you would be obligated to try if you ever find yourself with the Solitaire T on your head. In high-quality mode, a built-in analog DAC/amplifier processes the signal, resulting in tighter lows and cleaner treble. Another technical feature worth mentioning is the passive high-frequency damper and active low-frequency damper on the edge of the transducers that serve to eliminate coil reflections at the source. For anyone skeptical of wireless battery shelf life, this can be used passively on a wired connection with the headphone cables provided. No battery needed. The Solitaire T is not only unique for its specs and technical design, but also for its refreshing breakaway from what most have come to expect from wireless balances. The Solitaire T instead has a powerful bass response, well-balanced mids that maintain a naturalness to its sound, and ample lift from its bright and fairly trebly high end. The Solitaire T makes it onto this list for this example-setting wireless balance, its one-of-a-kind high-quality mode, and its passive playback ability via headphone cable that allows it to outlive its battery, in both the short-term and long-term sense. Now we're starting to get into some of that semi-affordable territory, and we have the Meze Audio 109 Pro up next. So Meze Audio has quite the reputation from everything from their $200 releases to the $4,000 heavy hitters, but this year, they released the Meze 109 Pro, something of a follow-up to their pretty popular 99 classics. The 109 Pro features a specially designed dynamic driver with a dual composite diaphragm made of beryllium-coated polymer, cellulose and carbon fiber composite, and copper-zinc alloy, which is encased in a rigid aluminum frame. Its W-shaped dome contributes to extra-accurate high-frequency reproduction that avoids unwanted frequencies. The 109 Pro is equal parts boomy and bright, with a pretty driving low end that is complemented by a very shiny high end. In my time with the 109 Pro, I was pretty struck by its response time, as well as its distinctly snappy sound. Its open back design contributes to a pretty expansive and engaging soundstage. The 109 Pro makes it onto this list for a pretty simple reason: packing the audiophile level quality that Meze is known for into a headphone that's under $1,000. Next up, we have Sennheiser's IE600 IEMs. So Sennheiser's IE line of IEMs have a pretty good reputation surrounding them, but if the top of the line, the IE900, is a bit more than you would like to pay for an IEM, the IE600 gets you really close for about half the price. So the IE600 is pretty unique for having a very clean tone and a very neutral tone, but also having an extremely powerful but very tightly controlled bass response, which is in part thanks to the 7mm true response transducer that's built into it. Some other technical design elements include the use of dual 2-chamber absorbers that dampen masking frequencies and hide in the IE600's resolve and articulation. So its balance can be defined by a very powerful but very tightly controlled low end, a pretty tasteful and present mids profile, and a very revealing treble balance that brings air and detail, but it avoids things like sibilance and harshness. The IE600 is all about creating distinct and robust layers, both spatially in its imaging as well as tonally in its balance. So it makes it onto the list for a squeaky clean balance, a very good price to quality value relative to the IE900, its durable build, and a very small size that makes it an easy fit in most ears, unless of course it's too small for your ears. So next up, we have ThieAudio Oracle MK2. I'll be upfront here and say ThieAudio makes some of my favorite IEMs that I've tried. They also released the Monarch MK2 earlier this year, which was also a very exciting release. But the Oracle MK2 is an IEM that frequently ends up in my ears when I'm not sure what I want to listen with. Its 3-way crossover system utilizes a dedicated dynamic driver for lows, 2 balanced armatures for the mids, and 2 electrostatic drivers for its highs. ThieAudio finely tuned the Oracle MK2 to mimic a pair of studio loudspeakers, and seemed to accomplish this spectacularly, both in terms of its expansive staging and balanced but big tone. ThieAudio's Oracle MK2 is kind of similar to the IE600 in terms of its focus on an analytical and pristine balance. It does so with a little more color and unique character, with some boosted subs and mid-bass that add a touch of heft and slam when you're listening with it. ThieAudio claims the trick behind the Oracle's MK2's distinct balance is its ruler flat mids profile that leaves vocals, guitars, and other main parts to track sounding pretty natural. Next on the list, we have HiFiMAN Edition XS. So the company had 2 pretty sizable releases this year that are worth mentioning: the closed-back Sundara 2022 and the Edition XS. While the closed-back Sundara was plenty impressive, it's the open-back Edition XS that makes it onto this list, a testament to the ongoing refinement of HiFiMAN's open-back planar formula. Central to its technical design is its inclusion of a stealth magnet, which allows for waves to pass through it without interference. Its most upgraded feature from its previous iterations is its Neo Super Nano diaphragm, which is 75% thinner than the diaphragm in previous versions and results in an accelerated response time. Build quality and fit are pleasant, with particularly plush memory foam composing the ear cups and headband, though a select few may find the fit somewhat loose. If you're familiar with the Harman curve, a theoretical frequency response curve that is theorized to be the optimal balance for the greatest number of people, the Edition XS comes the closest to replicating it more than any other unit mentioned on this list. Subs, bass, and mids are tight and flat, while high mids and highs are tastefully boosted without a shred of harshness. Like the Audeze MM-500, the Edition XS makes it onto this list for being an exceptional pair of reference headphones, as well as for use as a fun, balanced, and casual pair. So if you've been watching this channel for a short period of time since I started making videos for it, you probably knew I would be putting this on the list. So the Asgard OH5 was my first introduction to iKKO and has made me pretty obsessed with seeing what the company has to put out next. The Asgard OH5 is the first headphone in the world to use lithium in its diaphragm. Titanium alloy and resin compose the Asgard OH5's housing, making it a very sturdy unit. It also comes with a premium single crystal copper silver plated cable that is heavily insulated and durable. Maybe you've gotten sick of me calling everything on this list balanced, and I'm sorry, usually the best stuff is. And while the iKKO Asgard OH5 is balanced to some extent, it's better described as heavy and full. While a lot of bass-heavy tunings focus on a dramatic emphasis in the subs and mid-bass before scaling it back for the mids, the Asgard OH5 rides a moderate and wide low-end emphasis from its subs all the way into its center mids. This makes its tone firm, thick, and driving, rather than more typically boomy, although it has that going for it too. In my extensive time with the unit, I found it to have a uniquely internally 3D soundstage that took place inside of my head rather than around it. The Asgard OH5 makes it onto this list for its one-of-a-kind technical qualities, its unique and convention-defying balance, and its compelling staging and imaging, all packed into an in-ear monitor under $500. Now, finally, for a unit that unfortunately I don't have a video to show for and I wasn't able to get my hands on, but one that I've spent a good amount of time with, and this is RaptGo's Hook-X. So, besides being the most affordable item on this list, this is also one of my favorites on the list. Everything about it is pretty exciting, from how it sounds to why it sounds the way it does. Besides being one of the best of the year, I'm also electing it to be one of the weirdest of the year. Already pretty unusual with its open back design, it also features 3 driver types, none of which are dynamics or balanced armatures for that matter. These drivers are a planar, a piezoelectric, and a bone conductor. Frankly, I haven't really come across any IEM quite like it. The Hook-X has somewhat of a V-shaped tuning, with powerful bass, somewhat attenuated mids, and boosted treble. While I'm usually pretty quick to be critical of the V-shaped tuning, the Hook-X provides an undeniably fast, fun, and just detailed listening experience. Ultimately, its powerful and driving low end steals the show, without masking the rest of the show. A lot of balances that put heavy stock in the lower bass profile end up sacrificing definition, but this isn't really a problem for the Hook-X, which does so without losing articulation and definition. The RaptGo easily makes it onto this list for its intriguing technical design, fun sound, and just for generally being a lovable weirdo. If you made it this far, thank you for watching all the way through. I want to remind you guys, you can get 10% off an order from Audio 46 if you use promo code Chris10 at checkout. I'm putting that down below. I'm also putting links to all of the headphones and IEMs discussed in this video, to links to the Audio 46 store down below as well if you want to check any of those out. And I also want to use this as an opportunity to say that it's looking like we're going to start to include some frequency response graphs and tests on this channel in 2023. So gonna have a little more technical and empirical data to talk about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So if you want to see more videos like this or more review videos, like and subscribe below. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.